All right already. I'm trying to relax over here. Calm down. I got a special delivery for you from the great state of Texas. You know that big one out there? You're the new mayor of Charville, Texas? What? Yeah! Let's go, baby! Charville, Texas! Here I come!
All right, and welcome to another edition of the Vinny Show. I'm your host, Vinny from South Philly. Today, we have another gentleman from the fine neighborhood of South Philadelphia. His name is Sonny Vellozzi. Sonny, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Thank you very much, Vinny. Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I love the hat, by the way.
There you go. Dodgers are my second team. Phillies are my first team.
There you go. And with that being said, for some of the viewers that may not know this, I'm in Philly, but you're broadcasting from
Palm Springs, California.
Beautiful.
About hour and a half to 4 hours, depending on the traffic from here to LA.
Nice.
So it's a whole different story out here. Palm Springs, it's beautiful, it's sunny every day. I can't complain. Although it is 117 now, no lie.
Well, with the humidity right now in Philly, you can imagine it's killer out here, man.
Yeah.
But that's great. I know when I lived briefly in LA, and I remember I was like, I started getting sick of the sunny weather. I'm like, doesn't it ever rain around here?
Yeah, it rains about 5 or 6 days a year out here, and but I like it.
It's great, man. Good for you. Good. I miss that part of the world. I have to get back there soon.
Uh-huh.
All right, so let's jump into it. Sonny, again, thanks for joining us. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, particularly about your background in film. Tell us, what got you inspired. Give us a little bit of background.
Okay. Well, early on when I was in high school, going into college, I went to community college from South Philly High. And while I was in South Philly High, they had closed circuit television. And it was in its early stages. They had the 3/4 inch tape, reel to reel. And we had some cameras. We used to do the basketball games, football games and stuff like that. And we also did a news show, an entertainment show with Bob Charger. Are you familiar with Bob Charger?
I've heard of him, sure.
Yeah, he's a DJ in Philly.
Yep.
And his real name, I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, but his real name's Carmen Giacovini. But his microphone name, whatever you want to call it on radio, is Bob Charger. So that was my first inspiration. Then when I got into community college, I took some film classes, journalism classes, and I started making some Super 8 films. And back then there was no digital. You had to cut and paste and do the editing on this little tiny Super 8 film. And we actually had to make a separate audio tape track and lay it on with the film. So you actually had to play the audio while you were showing the movie. So it was pretty primitive back then, not anything like we have now. Today everything's digital and it looks great. And so I continued doing that, but I was into sports, I was into music, I played in cover bands, I played rhythm guitar, I sang, and we played in Wildwood at the Surf Club, we played in South Philly, South Jersey. So I dabbled in a little bit of everything, in addition to working. Once I got out of college, I went to community for a couple of years, then I went to Temple for a year, and then I had to make some money, and I wanted to work driving a truck. And so I did a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And, for a while there, I didn't do anything in film until later on.
Sonny, let me jump in here real quick for some of the viewers that are from our region and remember the good old days. Tell us some spots that they may remember from back in the day, whether it be Philly, South Jersey, down the shore. What are some of the spots that you remember back in those days that were really fun and happening?
Well, when I was playing, our first band, I think I was in junior high, with a couple of friends of mine, Frank Marciani and Ralph Bianco. We formed a little band called the Mod. So that tells you about when it was like in the early 60s, mid 60s, when the Beatles were out and everybody had a guitar and everybody was singing, and and I joined the fray in that. So we played at Memories of Margate. We opened for the Coasters. We played at just different places in South Philly, like social clubs and all around. But we stopped for a while, and then we got back together again with another band, and then we played at the Surf Club in Wildwood. And the Stardust was around the corner. That was a heyday, as far as I'm concerned, in Wildwood. I mean, I forget what the name of the avenue was there, Pacific Avenue, I think. And there was a club on every corner, and it was all live music, and it was a great time. That was, I think, 72, 73. And there was a band called the Bandstand 72, Bandstand 73. I don't know how old you are, so I don't know how far back I could go, but people that are in their late 60s, early 70s remember those days. And that's where we used to play.
Good times, man. Listen, I'm in my 40s, right? My first job was a busboy at Palumbo's. That was my last taste of the great old days, That was a great, but and it unfortunately burned down. I lived a block away from it, and I remember that night. It's ingrained in my mind. I remember smelling the smoke, and I'm like, "What's that? What's that smell?" And it was Palumbo's. Sad. Yeah. I mentioned that on another one of our episodes.
I think it's a Rite Aid now, isn't it?
I'm getting redundant.
Is it a Rite Aid?
Now it's a Rite Aid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame.
That's just the amazing performers, Sinatra. Oh my God, Lanza. I mean, it was the epicenter back in the old days before the casinos, and even after. But all right, let's get back to you. All right, so you're doing all this, and again, it's amazing. And people that even me, I remember a little bit of those days with seeing some of my relatives have the old tape recorders, and how I had a particular cousin that would cut and do what you're talking about as far as editing. It was a lot of work. I mean, it's amazing now. Everything's right here on a phone, So then,
but I was passionate about it, and you made it work. Whatever you had to do, you had a lot of ideas in your head that you wanted to get out there, put on film, and you persevered.
Yeah, when you have the desire, you can accomplish great things. Absolutely. Okay, so then it sounds like life, reality, like unfortunately, eventually takes over the pleasure part of the pleasurable part of your life. So you became a truck driver, taking care of the family, that sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I worked for I was in college. I think it was between Community and Temple. I was there about 2 years combined, 2.5 years. And I don't know, it just wasn't for me. And I took enough classes to have a background in what I wanted to do. I also did take some journalism classes, so I was interested in that. And like I said, I had to make some money. So my brother-in-law had a construction business, and he had this business where he needed truck drivers. And here I was, I barely knew how to drive a car. And there I am driving a 10-wheel dump truck, taking loads of dirt from one place to the other. And it was rough. I don't think I was cut out for that. I didn't last that long. Get up early in the morning and you're freezing. You got to start the truck. It's snowing. It's ice. I'm like, oh my God. Then I was doing cement work. So, it wasn't for me. So I guess I did that.
Sorry to interrupt you. Huh? I bet you missed those East Coast winters, right?
It's not even a snow. I like snow. I just hate clouds and rain.
Yeah.
And that's snow I love. When it would snow. I lived right around the corner from Chickies and Pete's. Yep. And it would snow, in the last few years when I was there, it would snow like once really heavy. And then they would pile all the snow in the middle of Chickie and Pete's parking lot. And the snow would be there till like May.
And all the kids would go down with a sled.
Yeah.
And the ramp
So,
too. The ramp to Jersey. That that little hill over there off of Packer
oh
Avenue.
yeah, Bridge Hill. Yeah, all the kids go down here in a sled. Hopefully you don't go into Packer Avenue and get hit by a car. But yeah, I miss that. Really.
I keep taking you away from the discussion, but okay, so let's go back. So then, what happened? What was that moment where you decided to get back into film?
Well, before that, and I might mention that during this time, while I was working and doing odd jobs, I was playing softball, and I was a fanatic about that also. So that took me away from film. I was a pitcher in fast pitch softball at Marconi Plaza, and then at 9th and Fitzwater, Palumbo Field. So I was in about at one point I was playing in 2 or 3 leagues at the same time. So like every night I was playing softball and I loved it. So, that was my thing for, I guess around 20 years.
Wow.
And then, you get older, aches and pains, and can't recover. And people are starting to hit home runs off you, breaking windows. And I said, all right, I'm done. So then I don't know how I came across it, but there was a film called Mafioso, The Father to Son, made by Sal Mazzotta. And it really intrigued me. And I saw some people I knew, I believe Sal Dorigo and Joey I and Freddie Gano and Tony Devon. I see all these people and I'm like, wow, this is like a real movie. I mean, the last time I did anything with a movie, it was on Super 8 and you had to tape it together and all. And here was a movie that looked like a real movie, and it was. And I got bit by the bug again. And at the time, they were making a lot of films and TV shows in Philly. And they were making, remember the show Hack?
Yeah.
It was the network show in Philly. And I happened to be driving by there. I think it was on 2nd and Mensing, something like that. And I saw the star of the show. I forget what his name is, but, real tall guy, nice guy. And I met him. And I started hanging around the set. And I really liked it. I liked seeing the process of a professional movie studio production. So the next day I brought my daughter, I forget how old she was. I don't know, about 4 or 5, something like that. And I brought her around to meet the actors in the show. And I met him too. David Morse, I think it was, David Morse. And so, the second time around, I got even more intrigued. So at that time, my daughter was trying a lot of different things, dance in school, Jason Douglas. I don't know if you're familiar with that, dance. Yeah. Some big dancing classes. So she wanted, she had a slight interest in show business. So I went to Marianne Claro, who was a talent agent on Passyunk Avenue across from Melrose. So we went in there, we talked to Marianne's mom. She interviewed my daughter and myself, and talking about different things and, to see if she wanted to be interested in being in commercials and stuff like that. And so the mother, she's looking at me, and I obviously look Italian. And she goes, they could use you in The Sopranos. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay, yeah, The Sopranos. All right, just because I'm Italian. No, really, I have some people I know and this and that. Well, 6 months to a year later, I'm doing background on The Sopranos and talking to James Gandolfini and Tony Sirico, and I'm having lunch with those guys. And I'm like, wow. I can't believe this happened. I mean, I didn't have I tried out for a couple of principal roles. I'm not really an actor. I like producing, directing, writing a little bit, and I act if I have to. But I figured, let me take a crack at it. So I went on a couple of auditions with David Chase, and I'll tell you, when I was doing it, I wasn't that nervous. But when I left, it was in Midtown Manhattan. I was shaking like a leaf. I couldn't believe I was just in there auditioning for a part with Paulie Walnuts in one of the episodes with David Chase and a whole bunch of other casting people. I'm like, I don't think this acting thing is for me. I got to be on, I don't know, 7 or 8 different episodes as background, and I joined SAG and was making pretty decent money doing that. And I loved it, and I learned a lot about making films. And, you know, while everybody else was talking to the actors, I was talking to the cameraman, to the sound guy, to the lighting guy, and because that's what I'm really interested in, stuff behind the camera.
So, Sonny, you know, it sounds like that just these chance little things, and this is sort of a this is very like there's a pattern I notice when I speak to a lot of guests, that little things happen out of nowhere that then lead you down another thing and down another corridor and down another one. And it sounds like that's what happened with you, especially with regards to The Sopranos. I mean, I've been in a few. I was when they had Rocky Balboa. I don't know if you were involved or not when they came to the city, but when they did Rocky Balboa, they pulled me out of the crowd and I met Stallone. And you know, like it was amazing. So I kind of share what you're saying. Like you're getting to meet these guys that you never you see them behind the TV screen or a movie screen, and you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually talking to these people. So,
Yeah.
and the beauty of it with you is that you know that okay, I'm not really into the acting thing, but I'm able to make these contacts, network, get the experience that then will serve you later on.
Yeah. In fact, I did some background on, I forget which one of the Rockies, and then the other one I spent a lot of time was the first Creed movie, and that was surreal. I mean, being I was a what do you call it? The ring photographer, one of the ring photographers. You know, the guys that are up against the ring and taking the pictures like that. So there were some fight scenes that on the screen probably took about maybe 2 minutes, but it took us all day to do. Yeah. You know, they had to do all different camera angles and this and that. And, you know, very rarely did they mess up lines. It was all about like, let's get this angle, let's use this steady cam, let's put this light over here. And, you know, when one of the scenes they did was in one of the stadiums in Temple University. And it was the first day that Stallone was on set. And we had all the extras fill the whole arena, I guess, where they play Temple basketball, and they set up a ring. And when he walked out, everybody went nuts. You know, we're in Philly, Rocky, and it just all connected. And you know, it was amazing. You know, and I met him a couple times. It just like it was surreal. Like, you know, we knew it was Sylvester Stallone, but to everybody in Philly, that was Rocky. You know, it was really touching. And also in that movie, a friend of mine, Joey I, who's a boxer, he's a cut man, and he's also an actor and a boxing promoter. And they reached out to him to get all the local boxers together and to work with what's the name of the actor, the one that plays Creed. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Michael B. Jordan.
Okay, there you go.
And so Joey brought me to where he was training to box, and it was a little place in Southwest Philly, like a little building, indiscreet building, and brought him in there. And here I am, Joey I would say, here's Michael B. Jordan, and Michael would be, you know, talking to Joey, should I throw the punch this way, that way? Could you wrap my hands and this and that? And the director was on the other side of the room. And I'm like pinching myself, like, I can't believe I'm in here. It's like $50 million movie with these guys. This is awesome. And at that point, I had already made 2 or 3 independent films. So like I was in heaven. And, you know, and everything that I observe when I'm on these big sets, I use in my own practice. You know, we're not dealing with these, you know, $100,000 cameras and these gigantic lights and stuff like that. But on a level that I could afford and the budgets I'm working with, I do the best we could to make it look as good as possible. So experience is the best teacher.
So you accumulate basically what you've done, whether you realize or not, you know, through this whole period of time, you're accumulating all these different little tips, tricks, experience that are all now, you know, now it's all culminated to what you're doing and how you can produce what you really, really love, which is your own project. So let's jump into that. Tell us about your project you have that you're working on right now.
Well, before that, when I was in Philly, right before I left, I guess, you know, a couple years, I guess now time flies so fast. It was probably 10 years ago, but I did a little a web series called Finders Keepers. And in Philly, there's a lot of actors. There's a lot of people from New York that come down from New York and do films in Philly. So I got to know a large majority of the local actors. Some of them are pretty famous character actors. Chris Mann and Brian Anthony Wilson, Tony Devon, and these are guys that had, you know, pretty nice sized parts in big films and in big TV shows. And I became close with them, and you know, they were nice enough to be in our films. You know, obviously I couldn't pay them what they were being paid on The Wire and all these other big shows, but you know, we were a close-knit family of all actors and actresses from the Philadelphia area. My partner, Ron.
Let me interrupt you for one second. Now that we're on that topic, and just out of my own selfish curiosity, how can, like, somebody's watching this and they want to put something together, and they maybe they know, or they want to reach out to somebody who's notable. How do you get around? I mean, I know like SAG has mandatory minimums. Like, how do you kind of work with people that usually get these big paydays? How do you get them to be in your film maybe for a little less or a lot less?
Even with SAG films, like some of the stuff I do is non-union and some is SAG. There's different levels, different budgets that they have on their contracts. So if you're making a student film, say for example, their rate would be negotiable. Whatever, you know, if they have faith in the filmmaker and it's going to make them look good and they could use it for their reel, they'll do it for a small amount of money, or, you know, whatever the case may be, negotiable. Then you have the what they call as a new media contract, which means it's going to be shown on the internet, on YouTube or Amazon Prime, something like that. So the more visibility the film is going to get, the more you have to pay them. So if I somehow had a budget of say $300,000 and I was going to do a theatrical release and I was going to be showing it in the theaters, well, then I would have to pay them more. So, you know, that's how it works. It's a sliding scale. And if it's non-union, a lot of them won't do it if it's non-union because, you know, they feel they might get in trouble, and I respect that. But, you know, if you do it SAG, it's affordable for every budget. If you have a small budget, they'll work for less money. If you have a big budget, they're going to want to get more money. And then if it's really starts to get up there, $500,000, now you have to hire maybe Teamsters and Yahtzee, stagehands. You know, the bigger the budget, the more people, you know, want to get paid and come into the project. But, you know, it's never been a problem.
Right. All right, great. So let's go back then to Nate. You're working on a web series.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I was doing Finders Keepers, and we would just film it. I would write an episode. And the episodes were, I don't know, 6-7 minutes long, and I would cast all of my actor friends in it. And I sort of, at that time, I knew what these actors and actresses were capable of. I knew what their vibe was. So I would cast them in roles. I knew they wouldn't even have to audition because I know I'd seen them do something similar before. A lot of them were character actors. So I knew, oh, I got a mob guy. All right. That's an easy one. You know, you look on any corner in South Philly, he looks like a mob guy. He looks like, but you know, they look how to be able.
Just go to Broad and Oregon. You can just grab them out of the summer.
But you know, they had to know their lines too. I mean, we did some improv, but what I do, even with my films out here, I write the script. I give them the script ahead of time. They have to know their lines. You know, I don't burden them with like 5-page soliloquies or anything like that, or monologues. I give them something that's doable. And when you're shooting film, you can stop and start and do it over again. It's not like we're doing a play that you got to know all the lines for like an hour and a half. I don't know how people do that. I can't even imagine. But I sort of make it easy for people to do it. So when I knew I was moving out here, I still wanted to continue to make films and TV shows. So I told my partner, Bob Bizik, we had a production company called Don't Go There Productions. And I wanted to do something out here and still involve people from Philly, sort of like, crossing over or maybe coming out here and doing some stuff. So the first project we did was a thing called Mark's Place. And I got some actors out here in Palm Springs. And, it's a numbers game for the pool of actors and producers and all. So in Philly, what's the population? 1.6 million or 2 million, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Out here, the population 35,000.
Wow.
So we don't have a big pool to draw from. But the people that I do know in the Palm Springs area, there's enough to, put shows together. And then if we do have some money in a budget where I could draw from LA, obviously LA and Hollywood, they got millions of actors. But, they got to make the 2-hour drive, 3-hour drive each way. So, we got to have money to pay them. So if we have a budget, we bring a couple Hollywood actors in too. So we did a series called Mark's Place. It's on Amazon Prime. I think it was 8 episodes we did. So you can go to Amazon Prime and see that. And also after that, we did a talk show called The Mark and Tony Show. And 2 of the actors, Marcus Lantero and Tony Pomponio, who 2 of the main actors in Mark's Place, who decided to do a talk show. So over the last year and a half, we did a live show, live on tape at different venues throughout the Coachella Valley. And I would say we had over 100 guests on the show, singers, authors, stuff like that. And so that sort of wasn't my thing, because I like doing films, narratives, and I like comedy, and I like mob stuff. So one of the characters in Mark's Place was a guy called Lou Stugots, played by Tony Pomponio. And talk about coincidence. I mean, his name wasn't supposed to be Lou Stugots. It was a scene where a mailman brought some mail to the bar where they were hanging out. And in one of the envelopes or boxes was a box of Viagra. And I don't know, you might have to cut this out. I don't know how many Italian people, know it's Stugots' name, but the guy's name was supposed to be Lou D'Amico. And he ad-libbed, and he says, I don't need these blue Viagra pills. I don't need this. My name's Big Lou Stugots. I don't need this. I don't need these pills. And it stuck. So from then on in that series, his name was Lou Stugots. So, we had disbanded that show, and then we did the talk show. So I said, well, why don't we do a spinoff? Lou Stugots' character into a different thing, sort of like Cheers with Frasier.
Right.
Cheers was in Boston and Frasier was Seattle. He was almost like a different character, different aspect of his character. And, with the advent of Yellowstone and Tulsa King, 1883, 1923, there's a big surge of Westerns coming back on all the different platforms. So I said, I was never really a big Western fan, but I started watching these shows and I got hooked on them. So, I'm a comedy guy and I could write comedy, and Tony's hilarious and I have a lot of funny actors and actresses. So I figured let's do a show called Lou Stugots. And I said, no, that's not Western enough. I said, I got Hopalong Stugots.
There you go.
That's how
Bingo.
Right? I don't do a lot of thinking about things. You know what I mean? If it comes into my head, I run with it.
It's like,
hope that it works out.
It's like Bonanza Bomboloik or something,
Yeah. So, we've been doing it. Our first episode is going to come out later this month. I noticed there's a lot of things, especially on YouTube, that the episodes aren't very long. There's a lot of episodic shows that are 4 minutes long, 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long. So that's the route we're going to take. Our episode's going to be short and sweet, quality, and I'm not going for, quantity. If it's 5 minutes and it's great, I'd rather do that than stretch it out to 15 minutes. And now you're like banging your head against the wall. Or what could we add here? What could we add there? I want to condense everything into the best product we can. We're going to put it out. And then over the year, we're going to put it all together into a 90-minute feature film, which we're going to screen, put into festivals, and also put it on Amazon Prime and other platforms.
That's fantastic. You know, it's funny because I was speaking to a screenwriter who was pretty big in Hollywood back in the day. And he said to me, right now is the best time especially for episodic type material. It's the best time, and it's the best time for you to do it yourself. That's the thing. If you could do it yourself, episodes, interesting storyline, it's a winner every time.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I can't do it all myself, and I don't ever claim to do it. First of all, I need a good DP that, you know, that we really connect with each other, because he's usually the one that has a vision. I have a vision as the producer, writer, and director. So I basically had the final say, but I'm always welcoming the DP, the guy that's going to be behind the camera. He might see something that I don't, and vice versa. So every time we shoot a scene or a certain camera angle, I'll say, okay, do we have it? And he might say, well, let's do it again because this person blinked or whatever the case may be, or the light wasn't right. And, you know, I'm totally fine with that. I'm not like Otto Preminger, like, you got to do it this way and shut up and film. You know, I'm not like that at all. In fact, I was a DP for a while for a friend of mine from New York, Frank Lisi. So I was first AD and DP on his films. So I basically was in every role that you could possibly be in filmmaking, in independent filmmaking. And when I wasn't making the films, I was on set on professional $50 million movies, observing as a background actor and observing what people do. So that's better than going to film school. I mean, film school is good. It gives you the basics, but, you know, real life experience, you can never replace that.
Sonny, you got hands-on knowledge, which that's, you know, you can't pay enough for that. And it's
right.
I guess an analogy that might be appropriate for this is it's like working in a restaurant. You start as a busboy, then you're a waiter, but you know what? You go in the kitchen and maybe you're making salads. The next thing you know, you're sauteing veal, and now you're a chef. So you're kind of getting your way around the whole place.
It's the exact same thing. Exact same thing. And, you know, I like the level that I'm at. My films, you know, budgets go anywhere from $5,000 to $250,000. That's where I'm comfortable at. And somebody wants to give me a check for $500,000, I'm good with that. But if somebody says, Sonny, I got 10 million for you and I want you to direct, I don't know if I can handle that. I would hope I could, but that's not what I'm used to. And I don't know anybody's going to give me, you know, $50 million anytime soon. You know, a lot of guys wait and try to get that big number, $1 million budget. And if you don't have a circle of people that you know that have that kind of money, that want to spend that money on taking a risk of making money back on a film, you know, that happens in New York and LA. Not in, you know, it's hard to do that. But, you know, the budgets that I go with, we put our own money up. Somebody else might hit us with 20, 30,000. And you got a film that looks great, something to be proud of. And
listen, the most important is you're having a good time. You're doing something you enjoy. You're producing value for yourself and others, not just the people watching, but the people that are involved in it. And everybody's getting something really.
Yeah. I mean, we usually start out, you know, little to no money, you know, making a pilot or doing a teaser trailer for a feature film. And you put 110% into that, and you make that look like $1 million. Now you have something to show somebody, to ask them for money to invest. Right. You know, because if you just give somebody a script and they don't see your work, who would give you money like that? You know, you have to have a track record. So, you know, when you do stuff, even actors, accomplished actors, they know if they're in one of my films or TV shows that I'm going to make them look like $1 million. So they could get their scene from my movie and put it on their actor's reel. So when they go for an audition for a $10 million movie, they got something to show them. They could show them what they look like. And, whoever's going to see it, the sound's good, the lighting's good, the editing's good, the music, everything is really good. So it's a quality product that if you look at it that way, they're getting that for free. I'm making them look like a star for free. And they're doing me a favor by being in my film and not charging that much or anything at all. So it's a two-way street.
Again, a win-win situation. Well, son, listen, I could talk to you all night, but we're running a little bit over. I don't want to tell you what, though. I just want to say this, that I've noticed throughout your story, there's a consistent pattern, from your youth to, as you're growing up and you have a family, hard work, right? Hard work.
Oh.
You worked hard. Even when you were, a truck driver, when you're playing softball for all those years, you've put in your total heart and soul into what you're doing, whether it's a softball team or whether it's filmmaking, and it's producing good results. So, Sonny, you're a testament to hard work.
Thank you very much, Vince. And I really appreciate the opportunity to get on your show and look forward to seeing the other shows. I'm interested in that Rocky documentary. Who's it? John Joseph? Yeah.
John Messina. By the time we hear this, that will have already been out. So for the guests that are watching this, that's where we record in advance, but that'll be forthcoming. That'll be displayed. Well, that's already out there actually, but I'm talking about the premiere. That'll be out before this is actually aired. But it's going to be great. But again, say and please make sure we include whatever links or websites, anything you want people to go and check out. Do you have anything that you want to direct them to?
Yeah, at this time, Hopalong Stugots, we have a Facebook page and we have a YouTube page. Facebook has all behind the scene pictures. Our YouTube page, a lot of video, bloopers, stuff like that. And then probably in a couple of weeks, we'll have our first episode. So I'd like everybody to take a look at it. I think you'll like it.
All right, great. And we'll make sure that we put it in the description box. This way it's nice and easy. We'll have the link set up for everybody. This way they can check it out on their own. And for those of you that are watching, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. Make sure we follow and support Sonny and his whole array of projects, especially Hopalong Stugots, which I can't wait to check out myself. And Sonny, you've been great. Thanks again for joining us. We look forward to
Go Phillies.
Go Phillies. Sometimes it depends what crowd you're in out there. So be careful. I don't want them to get mad at you.
All right. Thanks, Vince.
Sonny, thanks again. Guys, make sure you follow our episode and be sure to subscribe again. Thanks, Sonny. And for everybody out there, thank you for being great supporters. We'll see you again next episode.